What is going on, guys? This is Michael Williams from Cartoon Universe, and today I wanted to analyze some of the details in the short preview we got of the upcoming episode, Gem Harvest. Now, I know I'm like a few days to a week late on this, but, you know, that's life. Don't judge me or my life choices. Anyway, this episode is set to air sometime in November as a half-hour special. I'm assuming this means it's going to be something akin to Bismuth and not just a two-parter. Now, initially, when watching this clip, it's easy to assume that it would just be another filler-type episode, but since it is going to be a 30-minute special, I'm going to assume it's going to end up being pretty important, but we'll get to that later. So I'm sure most of you have seen the clip Cartoon Network posted on YouTube, but at the Steven Universe panel at New York City Comic-Con, there was essentially a longer version of this clip. It seemed like it was edited, so there may have been some stuff in between, but regardless, we got about an extra 2 minutes of footage, so let's talk about it. It looks like Steven was planning a sleepover with Peridot and Lapis, which is really cute, and it turns out Peridot and Lapis made a farm, like a straight up middle of the country, cornfields for miles. All my friends are 80 miles away. I hate my life. I have no internet level farm. And apparently they're growing vegetables because they're kind of lonely and it's really quiet. And they think vegetables work like gems where they grow out of the ground and they just start walking and talking. Lapis is manning the water, as to be expected. Obviously, they're sadly mistaken about the vegetables walking and talking. Something very interesting is that Peridot states that she's specifically designed to grow gems, so she figured she'd grow crops. This is something that we actually didn't know, I don't think. I'm not sure how you can be designed for that exactly. I guess just knowledge of how to grow gems properly. I feel like this information is going to come into play later in the episode when things likely start to get more serious. As Peridot has mentioned, being harvested back in Catch and Release. Obviously, harvesting gems is essentially growing gems, I would assume, but we're still not exactly sure what that means in the context of an already living gem. I don't feel like this is something that the Crewniverse would just let slip, so hopefully we can get an answer to that this episode. Something else that's interesting is that Peridot says the corn is supposed to listen to her because she's the one that made it, which is again not exactly something we knew. Never really thought about it, to be honest, but I guess a harvesting gem or a farmer gem like Peridot makes a set amount of gems in the kindergarten or something, then those gems report to the farmer gem, then I guess that farmer gem basically gives them the rundown on what diamond they work for or something like that. Not sure if they come out the ground knowing what diamond they work for. Hopefully we'll be able to actually see a gem emerge, either in a flashback or on Homeworld or something eventually. So once Steven lets Peridot and Lapis know that vegetables don't talk, they decide to shut down the whole operation, and then Steven remembers that he can totally make that happen. So he takes a pumpkin seed from the ground, licks it, and then he plants it. Now we cut to the next part of the clip, which feels like it might be the next day. We see not a pumpkin Steven, but a pumpkin dog, much like the watermelon dog that we saw in Super Watermelon Island. I'm not exactly sure how this works. I don't know if he specifically went out of his way to make it a dog with his mind or something, or if it's just random. Not exactly sure. Not something that really needs to be explained, but still interesting. So Peridot is all hyped, thinking that they finally made what they wanted, but the dog keeps going to Steven because Steven's the one that made him. Then Lapis and Peridot are super salty again, lamenting over how their pumpkin seed doesn't have a face. So Steven has the bright idea to carve a pumpkin, giving it a face right in front of the pumpkin dog, and it's pretty violent and terrible and hilarious. After this, the dog wants nothing to do with Steven being a violent murderer and all, and he retreats into Lapis's arms. Steven then exclaims that it's nice to have a new member of the family. So does this mean that Pumpkin Dog may end up sticking around? Potentially. Maybe it'll be like Lapis and Peridot's lion, so to speak. Not sure what happens when pumpkins go out of season, though, so we'll see. But that pretty much covers the little clip that we got. Just wanted to point out a couple interesting lines that caught my attention. I feel like this episode will have a direct connection to Homeworld in some way, given Lapis and Peridot's motives. It would be really cool to learn what gem harvesting is exactly, like I said, as far as a living gem is concerned. but I'm definitely excited that this is going to be a 30-minute special. That first clip made me a tad nervous because this is going to be the last episode of the year, unfortunately, which is kind of sad, but we got a lot of Steven this year, and they're at least going out with a bang, so it seems. But what did you guys think of this clip? Excited for the new episode? Anything you think I missed? Let me know in the comments down below, and special thanks to our patrons. If you want some cool perks and rewards, then you should totally consider supporting our Patreon. I mean, you don't have to. I'll just carve a hole in your head and spill out your brains. Okay, thanks for watching.